Thank you again for joining. My name is Eken Zubike. Today, we will like to, you know, elaborate on the issue of grandparents and super visa for, those living in Canada, which their parents, want to visit them in Canada. I'm going to, without wasting much time for today, I'm going to, you know, elaborate in details of the procedure and the requirement of what you need in order to bring your grandparents or your parents to Canada, regardless of the immigration crisis, from the information coming out from the parliament that they're cutting out down the number of immigrants they want to come to Canada. So, which I know that is kind of political statement because the crisis is kind of over exaggerated because of the system or the policy to manage it. So, without wasting your time, I'm going to share the procedure on my screen so you can be able to, if you want to bring your grandparents or your parents to Canada, the procedure on what you need to do, and so you can be able to, bring them to Canada. Here is the screen which I want to share with you so you can be able to understand what exactly you need to do to bring your grandparents here in Canada. So I'm going to start from the beginning. As you all know, that I'm the founder of Ekens Foundation International, and I help people on pro bono services on immigration and refugee. So as you can see on the screen, that to obtain a super visa for parents or grandparents to visit Canada, the applicant needs to meet several requirements, including being a parent or grandparents of Canadian citizen or permanent resident. So what they mean here is that in order for you to sponsor, your parents or your grandparents, you must be either a permanent resident or Canadian citizen. And here continue say providing an invitation letter and having a valid medical insurance. So what it means is because you must provide a medical insurance to your parents or grandparents that is visiting you here in Canada while you're a Canadian citizen and also a permanent resident. And they must also demonstrate they are genuine visitors and intend to leave Canada at the end of their visit. So, which means they must demonstrate that they are coming here only to visit you and they will leave Canada as soon as the visa, expire or after the visit. So, here down, I'm going to read you the breakdown of the key requirements or what is called the eligibility. So, one is the relationship. Be a parent or grandparents of a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, and also being a genuine visitor, which I already read to you to demonstrate that they intend to leave Canada at the end of their visit. And not only that, you must have a ties to the home country. Consider our ties, they consider our ties to their home country, the purpose of their visit, their family and finances, and the overall stability of the home country. On the second stage, invitation and financial support. So now you need to provide a letter of invitation and as well a signed letter from the Canadian child or grandchild is required, including a promise of the financial support for the duration of the stay, which is the duration of your grandparents or your parents' stay. Now, in other words, the financial support, you as the host or child or grandchild must demonstrate that you met the minimum necessary home income requirement, as well as medical insurance. So if you, in Canada, you want to, invite your parents or grandparents to visit you, on the other category, the insurance is necessary. Insurance that will be done in Canada here, because as it is written here, the applicant need to obtain a private medical insurance from a Canadian insurance company. And the coverage of the insurance states that the insurance must cover healthcare, hospitalization, and repatriation with a minimum coverage of $100,000. Okay. Now, the validity of the insurance must be valid for at least 1 year from the day of entry in Canada. Outside that, other requirements is travel documents, a valid passport, and other necessary travel documents are also required. And medical examination, which states here that the applicant may need to undergo a medical examination to assure they are admissible to Canada on health grounds. Continue the application fee. There is application fee associated with the super visa, which is important consideration. Visa exempts visitors. Even if the visitor is from country that doesn't require visitors visa, they can still apply for super visa. And finally, the duration. Super visa holder can stay in Canada at least 5 years at a time. Extension of stay, super visa holder can apply for extension of stay. So this is the requirement. And what it means that you can invite your parents or grandparents here in Canada and they can stay up to 5 years. In this regard, if you want us to assist you to facilitate this application, we are available at Ekens Foundation International to assist you for this application. Another day, we are going to go into the requirement for sponsorship application, but this is a topic of another day. The sponsorship application can be either is a common law or marriage. But as I said in another program, I will also elaborate further on that. But today's topic is about the grandparents and parents super visa, which your parents or your grandparents can stay in Canada up to 5 good years from the day of the entry. But you see, the major requirement here is at least $100,000 insurance coverage, which is the most important, and you must also either be working to meet the minimum requirement of the income as a Canadian citizen or the permanent resident. I will continue in a while after this, message. Hello, welcome back. And, I hope you get the information clear on the issue regard to, grandparents and the super visa for those who want to, bring their parents in Canada. That is also the program that the government have opened the portal that if you qualify to bring your parents, you can be able to do that. Another issue I would like to talk about is because of the root of how the immigration crisis started, I will bring you back to 8 years ago when, Trudeau initially took over the government under the Liberal Party, and during the time of a Syria, crisis or war. I would like you, based on the research I did, to bring you close to this 8 years ago on how this immigration crisis started, because there was a bill C-24, which was passed during the Harper government or the conservative government, which is kind of two tiers of citizenship. And this is where the conflict started from, this immigration conflict. Now, I'm going to let you hear the statement of the immigration minister then, who was appointed by Liberal government, and then how the immigration problem started based on the Syria conflict. And during this period, when the government was bringing all those immigrants, they did not consider the consequences. And now they're blaming it on others. I'm going to let you listen to the interview of the minister then.
As of Saturday, February 27th, 25,000 Syrian refugees have landed in Canada, which means the Liberals are checking off the first phase of their revised refugee plan. But rather than all 25,000 being government-assisted refugees, more than 8,000 of the arrivals are due to private sponsorship. Only days before the last plane landed in Montreal, Canada's Minister of Citizenship, Refugees and Immigration, John McCallum, officially announced Bill C-6.
There should be only one class of Canadians, that a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian.
A bill meant to repeal the contentious C-24 passed by the Harper Conservatives in 2014.
People would say, well, I'm a citizen, so I'm safe. I'm a permanent resident, so I should be safe. I'm in Canada, so I should be safe. Not anymore.
That bill became known for a myriad of controversial provisions, but perhaps mostly for its revocation clause.
The power to revoke citizenship from dual nationals, or even people who are not dual nationals, but who might have a claim to citizenship in another country. Bill C-24 gave the government the power to take citizenship away if they were found guilty of a national security offense.
Bill C-6 now scraps that power, but it doesn't undo every change the Conservatives brought in. For instance, the immigration minister can still single-handedly take away citizenship in the case of fraud or misrepresentation.
I would be very happy to take away that person's citizenship because it was a crime committed in the act of getting a citizenship.
The current government has stopped short of repealing the ability of the minister to unilaterally revoke an individual citizenship without so much as a trial before a neutral arbiter.